One of the many things that sets us apart from quote unquote credit repair out there and the other companies and the way they do it is our restoration process. And we're going to talk about that today. Listen, we're going to be very transparent in what it is we do, because I would rather you do this than hire some other company out there, pay them a lot of money to do these strategies that get 20 to 25% of the derogatory off industry average in today's market. What used to work a few years ago does not work with the same success ratio. And in order for us to have some higher success ratios on getting this negative stuff off, is to do it the way we do it. So here we go. What you probably have heard of the dispute process. Again, this is if you Google how to fix your own credit or get negative off, they're going to talk about this dispute process. If you hire a credit repair company, I promise you, I don't care what they say or how fancy their letters are. It really doesn't matter. It's going to go through this process, and that process is this. If you haven't heard of it, is you dispute the credit bureau on a trade line on your credit, whether that's maybe you see an issue on it, maybe you don't recognize the account, maybe there's a mistake, whatever it is, you file a dispute with the credit bureaus. The credit bureau then by law has to notify the furnisher, the one that's reporting it. That furnisher has 30 days to respond back to the credit bureaus. If they do not respond within 30 days, it automatically falls off. Now, notice that little clock there. In their system, that 30-day is set. So if that 30th day fell on Easter Sunday and nobody was at work that day and it was not responded to, it automatically comes off. And again, this process used to work pretty well. Here's why. Because back in the day, whenever you disputed the credit bureau, they notified the furnisher, they had to mail a form to that furnisher. That furnisher had to stop what they were doing, find your file, fill out that form, and then, of course, mail it back. More times than not, it went past the 30 days by the time they responded, and as a result, it automatically fell off, right? Not the case anymore. Now, whenever you dispute the credit bureau, they're communicating electronically with the shared software. And so these furnishers are getting that as soon as the dispute is processed, which is sometimes almost immediately. And guess what they're doing? They're simply punching a button saying, hey, this account's been verified. And as a result, the account was responded to within the 30 days, and it no longer comes off. So what used to work 75% of the time, really, now maybe about 25% of the time, depending on the type of dispute. So how do we do it? How do we have such a high success ratio? Well, we're going to still do the same thing. I also want to dispute the credit bureaus. Matter of fact, I'm going to send a new round of disputes on those guys every 30 to 35 days. However, simultaneously, I'm going to go directly to that furnisher. And this is when we have the right to ask that furnisher for multiple items in regards to that debt. We get to ask them for proof that they own the debt. Who are they? You know, a lot of times you'll be like, well, I recognize this Verizon bill, but who the heck is ABC Collection Agency? This is no different than some stranger knocking on your door asking you for money, right? You have a right to know who this guy is. Needless to say, there is no background check to become a third-party collection agency. There is no license to be had. They simply register and get bonded with the state. So for under $500, anybody and their dog can become a third-party collection agency. Well, you have a set of rights. Federal and most state laws say that you have a right to validate these debts, and asking for proof that these guys own it or they're collecting on behalf of is your right, and they need to establish proof of that. You also have a right to ask for a copy of the original agreement or contract that you made with the original creditor that this third-party collection is requesting. They have to provide that if you request it. You have a right to ask for payment history on that account since inception. You have a right to ask for an itemization of how they came up with this outstanding alleged debt. And of course, you have a right to ask about the original delinquency date. You have the right to ask them for proof that they're bonded and registered in your state. Now, remember earlier we were talking about the automatic button. We were talking about the clock. If whenever we're disputing the credit bureaus, if they don't respond within 30 days, it automatically comes off. Well, there is no automatic button when you're talking to this guy. So we're going to have to motivate him. A lot of times, maybe they throw it to the side, maybe they ignore it. Whatever the case is, they don't always respond to your first validation. So in the spirit of motivating these guys, we're going to send a second validation request. Hey, man, this is our second request. We've included a copy of the first one, certified mail, signed by your employee such and such. We still need this, and this. Relisting those items that we requested, showing proof that we sent it the first time. If you can't provide this, nor willing to, remove it immediately. And this second one tends to get their attention. Many times they're like, we don't have access to this. We don't have time to jack with it. Just take it off. These people are tracking this. They know their rights. If they still don't respond, we come at them a third time. This time establishing the fact that this guy violated your rights by continuing his collection activity in spite of your multiple attempts at trying to validate this debt. And at that point, we tell them that we're going to take them to small claims court if they don't remove it immediately. They know you have a case built against them. Whether you own the debt or not at that point doesn't really matter. The fact that they failed to validate and violate your rights is what matters at this point. So many times they don't want the cheese anymore. They want out of the trap. If it does go the distance, many of these won't, but if it does, we're going to go back to the credit bureaus another way, called an MOV, a method of verification. FCRA says that you have a right to ask the credit bureaus what method of verification they used when verifying the account. Now, remember, we're sending a new dispute out every 30, 35 days, right? And so we're asking the credit bureaus, hey, guys, what method of verification are you using? You keep coming back saying this account's been verified, yet we're going to the same furnisher, the same people that you're going to, see proof included 3 different times with minimal or no response. In other words, what the heck are you doing? We're going to take legal action against them, and we're going to include you with it if it's not removed immediately. And the process works wonderfully. Now, here's what I don't like about the process. It's time. From start to finish, this thing can take some time. But what I do love about it is each step, each round, each effort either gets to the deletion or it builds strength. The next round, same way. That next one either gets the deletion or it builds leverage. And we'll continue those leverage efforts all the way through. Matter of fact, we might have our client at score projection 3 rounds in, but we don't stop. We work that all the way through. That's why everybody ends up higher than our guaranteed score projection by the time we're done within the parameters of that plan. So again, this is some of the things that have worked very successful with us. Now, does it get 100% deletions? No. But it does get a whole lot more than the industry average. Do we get 100% deleted all the time? But we have to consider, when does this not work? Well, this doesn't work if that guy right there does everything he's supposed to do. And if that happens, what do we do? Well, in some cases, like we've studied, if we let him get older, in some cases, maybe we can do a pay for deletion or a strategic settlement. Maybe he's just not a factor. Maybe there's some other things we can do to outweigh the score to make up for that. So again, several things that set us apart. We always talk about this. The number one thing is, of course, everything we do is through the lens of the FICO Classic credit score, which is what 90% of your lenders use and 100% of your mortgage lenders use, giving us a true feedback of where your scores are going to be, as opposed to the feedback you're getting from your Credit Karma and your Experian apps and any of your other credit monitoring scores that are out there. There could be giant differences in this. But when we consider all of that, would be how we would consider strategic settlements or pay for deletions or timelines. If a person says, hey, I got some time here to work on my credit, well, then those strategies I just showed you are the way to go. But if a person says, hey, I've got a month, well, we might go straight to some specific settlements or pay for deletion negotiations and or adding an authorized user or optimizing currently what you currently have. Otherwise, we're going to consider all of it custom to the client's situation, their budget, and of course, what's going on specifically with their credit. And it just works. It's been working. That's why so many people are living in new homes that couldn't otherwise. All right, we'll see you on the next one.